What's up, guys? I'm Josh Mosiman, and welcome to This Week in MXA, episode number 110, presented to you guys by O'Neill Racing. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are going to be talking about the Anaheim 2 Supercross, the chaos that it was. We're going to preview the upcoming Houston Supercross this weekend and share more news from the motocross and supercross world. Let's dive into it. Starting things off, we finally learned that Jett Lawrence, Eli Tomac, and Hayden Deegan are all humans. Well, coming into the Anaheim 2 Supercross Triple Crown, each of those riders looked like the favorite to win their specific classes. Eli Tomac, he's been convincingly strong on his new Yamaha 450 at the first two rounds, winning Anaheim 1 despite a crash, and winning San Diego, passing Cooper Webb right away and managing his gap in the front of the pack. Eli Tomac had a huge crash in the Triple Crown, the third main event of the Triple Crown at Anaheim 2, and that was very, very surprising to see. For him, he got lucky that that crash came at a Triple Crown where his overall score counts towards his points to the championship, so that finish doesn't affect him as badly as it could have. He got a 6th overall in the night, still has a 4-point lead over Chase Sexton and Cooper Webb, so still has the red plate and is healthy going into Houston. He said that he's all healthy, he's good to go, but definitely got lucky that it was a Triple Crown for him. Next up, Jett Lawrence. Now, there was lots of talks about him going on a win streak and taking every race win in the 250 West Coast Championship, and rightfully so. He commandingly won the first two rounds, seemingly with ease. He managed his leads. Any mistakes he made throughout the day in qualifying or in the heat races, he ironed out all the bugs in the main events and was able to take the win at Anaheim 1 and San Diego. So for him to make mistakes and go down twice, have bad starts at the Anaheim 2 Triple Crown, that was very unexpected in the 250 class, but it made things exciting. It also made for Levi Kitchen to get his first ever podium, which just so happened to be a win at Anaheim 2 inside of Angel Stadium. We got a really cool interview with Levi Kitchen after the race, as well as a lot of other riders, Chase Sexton included, Phil Nicoletti, Derek Kelly, and more, so you'll have to check that one out. Adam Cirillo, he was also very honest in that video, so be sure to check that out. But Anaheim 2, I officially love Triple Crown racing. It made things very exciting and came at a perfect point in the series where fans on the West Coast had seen Eli Tomac win twice, they'd seen Jett Lawrence win twice. Now we got to see some new winners with Levi Kitchen and Chase Sexton. Congrats to those two riders. Next up, Hayden Deegan. We also found out that he is human, and although many people expected him to be the fastest rider and to win the main event in the Supercross Futures class at Anaheim 2, Hayden did have some struggles. He also had a crash like Jett Lawrence and Eli Tomac and was not able to get the win. Daxton Bennick, now he capitalized on the mistakes of Hayden Deegan and of Talon Hawkins and of Casey Cochran and of Julian Beamer or Bomber. I'm not sure exactly how you say his last name, but Julian Bomber was extremely impressive in qualifying, scoring the fastest times in the Supercross Futures class in both qualifying sessions on Saturday. Very, very impressive rider. He doesn't have a Star Yamaha ride yet, but man, I imagine that he is first on the list for Star Racing Yamaha to pick up heading into next year. We'll see about that. Too bad for him. He cased a triple on one of the opening laps of the Supercross Futures main event, and his bars, he landed so hard that his bars bent backwards. They kind of probably weren't tight enough, so that was a bummer that we didn't get to see him truly live up to his potential and battle at the front of the pack. But either way, pretty cool to have Supercross Futures racing in the main events. Hayden Deegan, still a very, very impressive rider. I was impressed with watching him ride throughout the day, but bummer he didn't get to start up front and put on a battle with his teammate Daxton Bennick. So we got cool interviews with Brian Deegan on our channel, YouTube channel, and on our website. Brian was open and honest and just shared a little bit about his family, about Hayden Deegan, and about just the mindset that they had coming into Anaheim 2 and what they got going on right now. So be sure to check that out on our channel. Also, we got an interview with Talon Hawkins. That's in our post-race interviews video as well, with Chase Sexton, Levi Kitchen, and more. Last thing to touch on, I said Tomac, Lawrence, and Hayden Deegan are all human. We saw them make mistakes. Well, one rider who's not human is Cameron McAdoo. Man, that guy put the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team on his back and raced Anaheim 2 and to salvage a brutal, brutal night. You can see here the photos of his arm that were all swollen up from his first qualifying session crash through the whoops. He had a big crash in the whoops. I didn't think he would be able to ride the next practice. I didn't think he'd be able to race that night. There was lots of reports saying that he wasn't going to race the night show, but he lined up, made it happen. 3 main events, had to be tough for Cameron McAdoo, but he fought through to salvage his championship and stick in it. Next up, let's preview the Houston Supercross coming up this weekend. It's the first round of the 250 East Coast Championship, and it's going to be an exciting one. The series is finally starting to head east, or at least halfway across the country to Texas, and it is also going to be the first race where we will see Justin Cooper make his debut racing the new Yamaha YZ450F. Yes, Justin Cooper is still signed with Star Racing Yamaha to race 250s for the outdoor championship, but he's racing a few select rounds in the 450 class alongside Eli Tomac and Dylan Ferrandis on the factory Yamaha 450. It's going to be interesting. I spoke with Jensen Hendler, one of the Star Racing Yamaha team managers, and he said he's going to be making his debut this weekend, so looking forward to that. Also, we have big news that Jeffrey Hurlings just re-signed with Red Bull KTM for the MXGP series. He's signed through the 2025 season, so 23, 24, and 25, you'll see Jeffrey Hurlings riding a Red Bull KTM over in the World Championship. Pretty impressive. He's signed with KTM back in 2009, so he is now the longest standing Red Bull KTM rider. He's continuing with them. Two of the big news points coming into this weekend. Jeffrey Hurlings obviously doesn't pertain to Houston, but something I thought you guys might like to know. Also, Chris Belos, that is another big news point, as he has joined the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team for the 250 East Coast Championship. That's going to be very interesting and exciting to see how he does with his fill and ride with Kawasaki. Next up, coming off of an Anaheim 2 track that was very, very wild and unique, we are heading to Houston Supercross with another track that is going to be wild and unique. The start is short into a 180-degree turn with a steep over-under tunnel jump right after the start. So that is going to be hectic. Those tunnel jumps are almost vertical takeoffs and vertical landings, which when you're doing that with 22 riders right next to each other, well, that is going to make for some carnage. Definitely going to see some guys bouncing off each other midair on that jump. But that's going to be making it interesting for the start. Also, there's some more straightaways as we ride across the start again, like they did at Anaheim 2. Longer straightaways this weekend at Houston. Also, another sand corner. This is going to be a sand sweeper corner. The rhythm lanes aren't as long as they were at Anaheim 2 and at the first 2 rounds. So shorter rhythm lanes will, in theory, make the track a little bit easier, maybe make the racing a little bit closer because it's less technical. I've got a long whoop section, and that's pretty much it. So pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it creates more great racing like we saw at Anaheim 2. And let us know in the comments down below what you liked about Anaheim 2 and what you're looking forward to about this weekend. All right, guys, next up, check out our SSE electric bike video on our YouTube channel. Now, this is not an electric bike that is being sold to the public. This is a custom, homemade, home-built bike by Dane Sires over in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Dane drove all the way from Iowa to Southern California to ride with us. Glen Helen was closed. All the tracks were closed when he got here because everything was rained out, but it was the one day that he was able to make it out, and the one day we were able to line up this test. So we got to ride pretty cool little track up in the high desert and have some fun testing this bike. So hear from me, Dennis Stapleton, and Dane Sires, the builder of the bike, in that video on our channel. Next up, we'll preview the riders that will be racing this weekend at the Houston Supercross. We have a few riders that are injured. Sadly, actually a lot of riders that got injured. This off season was actually really good. Not very many guys got injured before Anaheim 1. Brandon Hartraft, who was the main factory rider and the main rider who had a gnarly injury that was really heartbreaking to see before the season started. After that, that is when the chaos happened. Marvin Muscan, he was the first top tier rider, factory Red Bull KTM guy who missed San Diego and Anaheim 2 due to a wrist injury. Not sure if he'll be back this weekend or not. Haven't got a report on that one yet. Also, Malcolm Stewart, he had a crash before Anaheim 2, which was a heartbreaker to see after he did so well at San Diego and showed so much skill, speed, and promise towards winning a main event, his first of his career. Unfortunately, Malcolm Stewart was out. We don't expect to see him racing this weekend. Obviously, Brandon Hartraft, he is out as well. A couple other guys that got hurt on the 250 West Coast, Derek Drake, he was out after San Diego Supercross. Austin Faulkner after the first race at Anaheim 1. 250 East Coast Championship, man, that thing has gotten decimated before it even got started. Unfortunately, both Pro Circuits, Joe Shimoda and Seth Hammaker got injured last week just before A2, a week and a half before their opener at Houston. J-League Swole, Rockstar Husqvarna's only rider for the 250 East Coast, he had a gnarly break in his arm, already had surgery on it. You can see the photos here. Viewer discretion is advised. Those photos are brutal to see. Really feel bad for J-League Swole on that injury. Garrett Marchbanks, he's also still recovering from an injury as well, and they hope to have him riding for the Club MX Yamaha team by Daytona, but we'll have to see about that one. Other riders who are confirmed to race the 250 East Coast Championship, Honda, they'll have Hunter Lawrence representing for the HRC Honda 250 team. Jeremy Martin, he's making his debut with the Club MX MX Yamaha privateer team. First time Jeremy Martin has been riding a privateer bike in Supercross or Motocross, and we're excited to see how he does on that bike. Star Racing Yamaha, they will have Jordon Smith and Nate Thrasher in the 250 class. Nick Romano is also recovering from an injury, and he's not confirmed to be racing this weekend at the moment that we record this video. Tom Vial, he's making his AMA Supercross debut for the Red Bull KTM team. My brother, Michael Mosiman, he'll ride for the Gas Trolley Designs team. Chris Blos, filling in for Pro Circuit Kawasaki. We're unsure if he's going to have a teammate or not at the season opener. No reports on that yet. And then Marshall Welton, he will represent Suzuki on the HEP Progressive Suzuki team. Firepower Honda, they'll have Max Anstey. And that's pretty much it for the major teams so far as of what we know. A couple things that are different though about the East Coast and the West Coast. Teams that won't be making it to the East Coast Championship in the 250 class, Moto Concepts Honda, they're only focusing on 250 West and they're not racing 250 East. Then they'll be gearing up for the World Supercross Series with their riders doing that. The BarX Suzuki team, they are only doing the 250 West Coast Championship. AEO KTM, only West. AJE Gas team, only West Coast. The Team Solitaire Yamaha team, only racing on the West Coast. However, a couple teams that will be racing East Coast only that didn't make the trip across to the West Coast rounds are Phoenix Racing's Honda. They have Cody Schock, popular rider and a friend of mine. Looking forward to see how he does. And then Tylube Honda, they'll have Henry Miller racing the 250 East Coast Championship. And he did the first few rounds of the 450 class on the West Coast, and he was riding his Honda CRF 250. So interesting stuff there. Stay tuned. Houston Supercross is going to be fun, and we will be covering all the action there on motocrossactionmag.com this weekend. Next up, we have a really cool interview with Alex Martin. Alex is retired from racing Supercross and Motocross, but he is still involved in the industry because he is a full-time trainer now. Him and John Westling have their Troll training program where they train riders virtually. You can sign up for the program online, and they'll stay tuned and stay in touch with you on how to make you a better rider that's safer, stronger, and faster. Alex Martin is a very interesting guy. He's trained with the best in the sport, and I had fun talking to him in this interview. Listen here for just a little snippet of the interview, and then also check out our podcast platform where you can listen to the full interview with Alex Martin. That's cool. What about the FXR Club MX Yamaha team? Super impressive after 2 rounds. Enzo and Phil have been up front. Like, what's your input from the outside looking in after riding for that team all last year and just seeing the evolution of it?
Yeah, I'm honestly pretty impressed. It's cool to see where Club was at with their team, 3-4 years ago even. And then me and Garrett getting on the team last year, it seemed like the exposure was a little bit better.
Yeah.
And at the point where, Jeremy probably wouldn't have rode for the team if it wasn't for me being on there last year.
Yeah.
And just kind of feeling things out and getting the general vibe. And between FXR sponsoring and Muck-Off and a lot of the great companies that have come on board, seeing the new race shop they have, as well as obviously Club's facility is second to none. It is really impressive. They kind of have the full package, so it's like, I don't know, sky's the limit, Obviously I'm retired, so I'm not really biased. I'm not on the team anymore.
Yeah.
I'm excited for my brother to go racing for sure. He's been having a really good off season, doing East Coast. I'm really excited. I feel like he's in a good spot, good headspace.
Yeah.
And the bike seems well. It's good to see Phil and Enzo getting out front in the heat race and the starts. So I'm just excited. I'm kind of, at this point, I'm just a fan, and it's kind of fun to just sit back and be in the stands on Saturday and watch.
It's a little different being in the stands, huh?
Yeah, for sure. So, but it's fun.
That's cool. So another cool announcement we have I want to make here is that Alex is actually writing a monthly article in Motocross Action magazine. So that's another benefit. If you subscribe to the magazine, you get troll training tips in the magazine, a full page. We've done 2 so far. The first one is out in the March issue of Motocross Action. And I'm personally super proud and honored to have him in the magazine and have him write an article every month. I think it's a huge benefit to our readers. And it's also hopefully going to keep bringing more eyes to troll training and help you grow your platform as well. So what's it like committing to a magazine article every month?
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous at first, but then I sat down and so for me, I've consumed a lot of data over the years, like nutrition data or training data, and I found it's like therapy for me, writing it, typing it in.
Totally.
Because it's I get it out of my brain on the paper and then I can move on to the next thing. So I found that it's kind of been a good therapy for me, and At first, Josh was like 700 to 800 words, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I started typing, and it was like 700 words was over before you know it, and I had to like condense it from 1,000 down. Totally. So it's fun though. I appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully it helps troll training.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. So, well, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. I'm excited for you and what you're up to. Excited to see your brother race here soon. And yeah, thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Thanks for tuning in to MXA's YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.